First of all, let me just say good morning. Good morning. And let me welcome everyone here this morning. And I want to kind of summarize. I want to kind of summarize my own history. And it's something that I was going to do over the years and the timing. I wanted to pick the right timing and talk about from addiction to recovery, pretty much. But I want to talk in the beginning stages about the insanity of addiction, and I can attest to it personally. And the first thing that I think about when I look back is I look back at how many of the 20 years from 1970 to 1990, I used narcotics and cocaine every day. And I look back at all of the brothers and sisters who I came up with in school, who all of us got high together, started off getting high and doing a lot of things. The many majority of them did not make it. They did not make it. And so I want to dedicate this to them, the ones that didn't make it, the ones that didn't make it that I know. I look at, I think about one of my buddies, and it's amazing how many years ago, Willie Thomas, we call him Little Bubba, and he died from walking pneumonia, and we was still teenagers, and so it was one of those things. But I'm just talking in general, but the importance of what all of us do as professionals now, which I became a professional, but I hadn't always been a professional. I was a professional drug user, if you want to put it like that, man, from a professional standpoint, and also criminal. Yeah, and so it's important to acknowledge that, and I want to, if I left a legacy, I want to leave a legacy so somebody can be helped. Yeah, and so when I think about this, as I look back at, and I want to tie in some pieces on some of the professional terminology and terms since I've learned over the 22 years, going on 23 years that I've been actually working in the field of addictions and recovery, all throughout mental health. We call it co-occurring now. Psychiatric dual diagnosis, methadone maintenance, the outpatient modalities, the hospital, all the places. As I look back at my beginnings in Birmingham, the first job I had working at Bradford Health Services as a counselor aide, working with adolescents, and went from there to Lloyd Nolan Hospital, working as a counselor tech, what they call it. And from there I went to, became certified, enrolled in school, University of Alabama, and got my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and I became certified and started working. And so I've been working for quite some time now, and I've been in all these modalities. But I want to look back and just talk about the insanity of addiction. I remember day one when I first smoked a cool cigarette and got drunk. Yeah, got drunk off a cool cigarette because I'm too young to be smoking, and so the age bracket and the what I was working with, the weight factor and all that, it got me drunk, and that was in the 8th grade. You never forget that. I was like 12 years old, and who would have told me? Nobody could have told me that I was getting ready to get on this merry-go-round and couldn't get off. On the playground, on the merry-go-round, and couldn't get off the merry-go-round, for the next 20 years. Nobody could have told me that from a cool cigarette. Because that's how it started, And when we look at the stages of drug use, we look at, that was my experimentation. Yeah, you know, when we look at that, that was experimentation. And so I went from experimentation to recreation to habitation to abuse to addiction. So I saw those channels, you know, and I didn't have any history in my family. You know, no one used, you know, drugs and stuff. My brothers them got high. I had one brother got high periodically. Nobody even really drank, you know, so that means that I was like the little black sheep, and they wondered where I came from after so long. Where did we get him from? That's the question that we need to begin to ask. Who is this guy? Yeah. So, and so I'm just blessed, you know, this morning as I get into this. But I look at the insanity of addiction when I started early in high school using narcotics early and was exposed to a lot of drugs. And so I began to go to school high off Quaaludes. And we called them super aspirin. They was a Sopop 300 milligram, which was a form of all those were barbiturates, like, you know, but barbiturates would have a tendency to handicap your physiology. You see, yeah, because you couldn't talk, you couldn't walk, you get into these stupors, and so eventually people know you're high. You know, and then you talk about grown teachers, you know, who looking at you and you steadily acting normal, like you normal, but you high. And so you might not be talking as much on one day, and then you come into school and you talking loud and saying nothing, so to speak. and so I remember those 4 years at Ramsey High School. I went to Ramsey High School, and that's when we were involved in this a segregation piece. You know, I went to high school in 1970, where the zone, when we started, they called it the zone, but really was, what it really was the implementation of breaking down the barriers for racism and for segregation in schools, because Ramsey was a white school. And so what happened is that they started the zone. So zoning meant if you lived in certain areas, you had to go to certain schools. But now what happened with that was that I met a lot of white kids at Ramsey High School. And so the first thing I did when I got there is look for the hippies, because I wanted to find out who had the weed. Because by that time I'm in the weed now. Now I'm trying to find out who got the baddest weed in town. So I'm hanging out with the hippies now. And so, and that it was amazing because there was a hot tamale shop. I'll never forget this. We talked about many years ago. In 1970, there was a hot tamale shop. A shop in this is the 5 Points South area, which is suburban type, in Birmingham. And so down the street from the school was a hot tamale shop, and they sold beer also. But they would open the place up in the morning, I think before school, 7:30, whatever, and they sold, you know, other things, but it was a hot tamale shop. And we would go down there to the hot tamale shop and get beer and all that type stuff. And so beer and Quaalude, they didn't go well together. Yeah. In other words, beer and Quaalude was not a good formula for trying to do math problems. Let me put it like that. Yeah, it really wasn't a good formula for trying to sit up and figure out, and I'm not talking about algebra, basic math. Yeah, just basic math. Yeah, I'm talking about subtraction, multiplication, and division. That's all I'm talking about. Yeah. That's all I'm talking about. Yeah. And so we would. I remember these things. What I'm saying, we would get blistered. We would get blasted. And so then the school got smart and they knew all the trouble kids. And so, well, okay, they out there getting high. And it was called the Steps. And so the Ramsey was a school that sit way up on the hill on the south side. And there were a lot of steps in the back. And we had to go up the steps, so we would be down, getting high, and so the advisor would come down, they would get to pointing out people up, see you, you know, then they closed the gate. So you know how, they did intervention. You know, they were reactive, you see. And so then they actually talked to the hot tamale shop and made them close the shop until school opened. So they got reactive with their intervention strategies, but it didn't stop nothing, as you know. By that time, I'm full scale at 14 years old. I'm full scale by now because I'm using narcotics at 14, you know. And so as I continue to elevate and escalate in my addiction, in the insanity of addiction. And so by that time, my mama, she know I'm getting high, but she loved me so much until she just trying to act like I ain't getting high, but she know I'm getting high. But she don't really know I'm getting high as I'm getting high. She don't know how high I'm getting, but she know I'm getting high. But she don't know the height of the high. she don't know the height of the high. You know, because if they begin to find out the severity of these things, then the people begin to get shocked, you know. And so, you know, it's amazing. But I thank God because, you know, out of those 4 years, I went to school and made good grades. Never really got suspended, never got any cases for drugs. So it's a gratitude session for me because I had buddies that it didn't turn out like that for them, you know. And so, but I continued to use throughout my high school, and there was a time when we graduated. So here comes the peak. That's why I can look at this, the drug piece, the experimentation, recreation, and the habitation piece, because from that point, the escalation when I got my first car, so now I can maneuver. So where it looked like good news, but it's really bad news. And it was short-lived, because once again, all these barbiturates and narcotics, they don't mix, once again, remember, they don't mix well with meth, and they even do worse. In other words, they cause more problems with driving.
Okay.
Yeah, they cause more problems with trying to operate an automobile.
Yeah.
And so now I'm driving, and now my mama, thank God for her, she done signed for me a car, and now I never forget, it was we lived next door to the sister who was a counselor. She was a friend of the family, and she was a friend of mine. I mean, she helped me a lot. Constance Jones, never forget Constance Jones. Constance Jones was a counselor, and Constance Jones got me a job. She got me a job before I finished high school. I was in the 12th grade, got me a summer job, got me a job doing school that I kept after I finished, but she got me a job at Walker Drug.
Oh.
Yeah, so now I'm a drug addict, and I'm working where all the drugs at.
Perfect job.
And remember this, I'm surrounded by all criminals in the streets. I know everybody because it's amazing the insanity of the mind. See, I needed cognitive behavior therapy way back. Yeah, because my thinking now is I need to find out where the criminals at. So I got to learn how to be a good criminal. In my mind, I need to learn how to, so now I begin to study the PDR. The PDR is the physician desk reference. They tell you about all the drugs.
Okay.
Now that's the insanity of addiction. I'm studying a PDR, not for the purpose of going to medical school or becoming a pharmacist, no, or becoming a better drug addict. I want to find out the baddest dope they got. Yeah, and so I study PDR, and so now the town, some of the real criminals, folks who've been doing this, you know, I said some of these people never fill out an income tax form. Now, and I'm known because I'm all over the place, and so now some of my buddies who are now I'm selling drugs now. See, now because I got a lot of drugs. See, where you talking about people got a pill, I got a bottle. You got a pill, I got the bottle. I got the bottle with 100 in it because now I start stealing from Walker Drug. Yeah, I started stealing because now I've learned, because they got me on the packing line. They got me on the packing line. And so the packing line is like this. It's where all the orders, and Walker Drug was the largest drug manufacturing warehouse distributor in the Southeast. So what Walker Drug did is distributed drugs to the drugstores. So what we did, I did the packing. So the place where you just Alexis would place her order for 4 bars of this, 6 bars of that, 8 bars of that. And so what I got smart, and so I said, well, let's do this. Let's give her 3 bottles of this, and 2 bottles of this, and she wants 5 bottles of these, right? So you know how it goes. Nothing happened for a little while, but the people started seeing their orders missing. And also it didn't help because I had to open the bag up. Remember that the packers packed the bags and sent the bags down on the assembly line. So they stapled. I had got so where I had this type of micro type vision where I could fold back the packages and look through the packages and see what name was on the bottles to see which package was worth going into. But this is the insanity of addiction though. So I've trained myself to now people, now I'm on a packing assembly line where there are people over here, people over there, there are supervisors over here, and so in the midst of all this, their conversation, I'm peeling back. I was a criminal.
Yeah.
I was a criminal. This is insanity of addiction. See, nobody ever taught me this stuff. This was a learned behavior. And I would peel back the packages, and then I would look and I would see, and so then I would get the major league packages out, the bottles. You know, I'm talking about 200 Quaaludes. I'm talking about 500 Tylenol folds and things like this. So anyway, that went on for quite some time until they figured out it was me. And see, and so at that time, they wouldn't prosecute people. They just fire you. Go on home now. Go ahead. Just leave. Go. Don't come back no more now. Yeah. Don't come back no more. Yeah, don't come back no more. And my buddy who was a truck driver, God bless his soul, Tinker Dozier, my man. And he died of cancer years and years and years and years ago. So when I look back at that system, and so they met me, and so a lot of so I was a good target for all of the high tech criminals because I presented well, and so they began to teach me how to do a lot of con games and things. So now I'm a con man now. So I'm in stores and doing all type of crazy stuff. I'm taking chances on my life, the insanity of addiction, and so they gave me a name. Tinker Dozier gave me this name. And the name he gave me was Baby Love. They called me Baby Love. That's the name they gave me, Baby Love. Tinker Dozier gave me that name. Yeah. And so it's almost like the community, that particular drug community, those were that group. They would call me Baby Love. They wouldn't call me Michael or Mike Nettles. They would call me Baby Love. So that was my name among that crew. And there was so many crews that I was involved in, you know, in the series of this insanity of addiction. Yeah. And so that crew faded, and so there was a time that I had so many drugs, and I had I never forget it. So I can go back and tailor make this, and I can see these things. We're talking about 23 years ago, and so I was on the highway. We call it the freeway in Birmingham, where we got the Beltway here. And I had a 1970 Le Mans. My mama had signed for me to get. And I was coming from Lawson Field. Lawson Field is a football stadium where we played the high school football games at. And I was driving. And one thing about the insanity of drugs is this, is that drugs always allow you to think that you can do what you can't do. So I'm in the car. There's no designated driver. Well, I should have had a designated driver, but it's something about drugs, though. It's something about drugs is that when you get high off drugs go to talking to you, and nobody can hear the drugs talking to you but you. That's right. And so now I'm getting ready to get in my car, and I'm getting ready to go home or wherever I'm talking where I was thinking I'm going, and so I left Lawson Field, and I can see this. I can see this now. This is clear, and 6th Avenue South exit, going 65 south, which you know already, going to Montgomery, going toward Montgomery. I ran under a tractor trailer, and the tractor trailer tore half of the car off, and nothing else happened. Nothing else happened. I ran on the tractor trailer and was able to come away from up on the tractor trailer and keep going and just tore the car up.
So you had a convertible.
So I had a convertible on the side.
Half a convertible.
Divine intervention. Divine intervention. Yeah, divine intervention. But I want to summarize this because I want whoever watching this to understand the insanity of addiction. But at the same time, I can laugh now because I'm healed and delivered.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the last piece that happened in Birmingham was that and remember that was so miraculous until I was able to continue to drive and go home, however I made it, park the car, and no one knew it if they didn't really look at the side of the car. But I went up under that tractor trailer and came out of the tractor trailer, and the tractor trailer just kind of tore off the side of the car. So the following weeks, I remember this real vivid. I was going down Lord Nolan Parkway, and once again, drugs are talking to me. I got, and I'm this type of guy. See, I'm a drug addict where I was greedy, first of all. So I didn't know how to take no 1-2 pills. I'm gonna take 5. Because remember, I'm reading the PDR. I'm trying to figure out how to get high, the highest I can get. You see, maximum. You know, it's a medium, it's a low, medium, minimum, and maximum. And also supermax. So I've got supermax. So I'm taking Valium, I'm taking Quaalude, I'm drinking cough syrup, and so I'm blitzed. I'm all blitzed. And so here it go. There's me that I'm in the car. Here's the car, the same 1970 Le Mans. I guess the Le Mans said, look, I'm tired of fooling with you. Because you dangerous. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually tired of fooling with you. So let's put close on this relationship tonight. And so here I am. And I'm going down Lord Nolan Parkway, and all of a sudden, there is a telephone pole that is minding its own business on the side of the road. Remember, they don't put telephone poles in the middle of the street. I'm driving in the middle of the street, and all of a sudden, whatever drug said, yield to the left. I run direct into the telephone pole, and when I run into the telephone pole, that the impact makes in other words, I hit the steering wheel with my face, broke the steering wheel in half. The front end of the car was in the windshield. Wow. And the steering wheel is what kept me from going through the windshield. And it knocked me out of the car about a block down the street. Now remember, the only reason I know all of this is because when I woke up, I was in the emergency room, looking up at my mama, getting ready to cry almost, because I was going back, I'm getting ready to get a whooping. That's how my mama was. but I'm just saying to you that this was the straw that broke the camel's back. And so the only reason I'm still here is because of that steering wheel. And this is the insanity of addiction, though. So remember that what happened was that they already saying it's a miracle. Yeah. And it's real obvious that it's a miracle. And so the car's total now, finally. Like I said, the car said, look, it's done. I'm done with you. Okay. You go your way, I'm going my way. Yeah. You keep on going and being crazy, I'm going to the junkyard. Okay. I'm done. The next day, now follow me to insanity. I'm talking about the insanity of addiction because I want the people who see this, I want you to know the other side of it, but I want you to know the pre-side of it, because what happens to people is this. I said the same thing. You know, well, you couldn't have told me in 100 years that I would go through what I went through for 20 years in addiction, because I just want to summarize some snippets, and I'm going to kind of cut through and go to some peak points, but I want to set this up while I was still young. Now remember, I'm talking about from age 14 to age 20. So I'm 6 years into this addiction. But I'm way ahead of the game in this addiction because I started out not using minor drugs. I started out using major drugs because I had access to them. And so I built a great tolerance where I'm taking 3 pills where a half a pill get the average person high. And I need 3 pills. I built the tolerance. And that's when we talk about tolerance and withdrawal. And at this time, I don't know about withdrawal, but I do know this. I do know that every day I had to get me some drugs. I didn't understand withdrawal because I didn't never give withdrawal a chance to come home. Because I'm high every day. But the tolerance. And when them people brought me when I don't even remember anything. All thing I remember hitting that telephone pole. I remember that. And I vividly remember being out there on that ground. And once again, the blessing is that this Lord Nolan Parkway is directly across the street from Lord Nolan Hospital. So all they did was walk out the door, put me on a basket, and carry me across the street over there pretty much. Pretty much. That's what they pretty much did for me. They carried me and got my driver's license and called my mama and them. You know how we said mama and them. Call mama. You know. But I remember waking up on that operating table and looking up and all those lights. But the next thing I remember is waking up at home. And I never forget that we was living on 1st Street South. See, I can remember these things. And I remember this, 709 F, 1st Street South. And I woke up the next morning. And everybody was looking at me crazy. Yeah, you know, my mom and brother looking at me crazy, right? And so I'm asking, where's my car? This is the first question I asked when I woke up. Where's my car? And my mama gave me that look. Like I said, I'm thinking I'm gonna get a whooping now. I'm 20 years old now when she come up to that hospital. So that's how my mama was. So, yeah, the look. You know the look. Yeah, some of y'all know the look. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing about no look. Know the look. And so, and my mama took me in the bathroom and let me look in the mirror. And my face was this big. Oh my God. Because of the swelling from what saved my life that they said was that steering wheel. Yeah. And so now here I go on another journey now. Okay. So now it should be a normalcy piece with addiction and say, well, you need some help, Junior. I mean, you know, something going on. So now, okay, I'm gonna make a geographical change. Now, all of a sudden, remember I had a brother that was in the Air Force, and so now I'm gonna follow in my brother's footsteps, you see. And so what I did is I enrolled in the Army. So now I'm in the Army. Now I'm getting ready to be a soldier. So now they're gonna straighten me out now. I'm getting ready to go to boot camp. I'm getting ready to be ready now. And so we had all the little parties when I told all my buddies and all the folks I'm going in the Army now. I never forget, we had the little party, had the little get high party, so I got high. I almost got high to death before going to Fort Jackson, South Carolina to go to boot camp. And made it to South Carolina, Fort Jackson, 8 weeks. Did good and, and got my strength, my health, and I was looking good. No drugs for 8 weeks. That's not why. If I could have picked up this thing then, yeah. But see, you when your steps are ordered and your path is ordered, it's how God do what He do. You see, yeah. So 8 weeks, strenuous boot camp, did well, Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and graduated from Fort Jackson. And went from Fort Jackson to what's called the AIT. That's AIT is your occupation. That's an occupation. In other words, I went to advanced training, and my occupation was. I said, well, they said, what you want to be? I don't know what I want to be. You know, I'm still high. You know that, don't you? I'm really post high.
Supposed to keep.
I mean, I'm super max. So I want to be anything right now. So in my mind, I want to be the easiest thing, right? So I said, out of all the careers I had, I picked a clerk. I want to be a clerk. but I actually had a double MOS, military occupation specialist, what MOS is, and I was an armor. It was 76 Y30. So that made me a clerk in an armor, where I went to AIT in Virginia, Fort Lee, Virginia, right here, right down there in Fort Lee, Virginia, and learned how to disassemble the 45, the M203 grenade launcher, the M14, the M16, the M50 caliber machine gun, and the M60 caliber machine gun. So I'm shooting now. So I'm really a fool now almost, because now I got a gun too. Yeah, but I never was a violent guy because I was spending too much time getting high. But I'm just saying, I learned those weapons though. I was the armor. I managed the actual armor on a military base out in California. I'll get to that story, part of that story in a minute when I made it to my duty station. From that point, when I got to Virginia, immediately, now remember we got a little more freedom now, we're out of basic training. So here I go again. I get to Virginia, and just to show you about thinking, my thinking was still there. So although I wasn't physically high, but I was thinking about getting high. And I was trying to find, my thinking was contaminated. It was contaminated way back and was still contaminated. So I didn't have any decontamination, anti-inflammatories to be able to diffuse my thinking. Because the moment we got to Virginia, I found the drugs. Okay. Immediately found the drugs. But still made it through Fort Lee, another 8 weeks, made it through, and went home with my suit on, my army suit on, and got my private stripe on. My mama proud of me, And I'm looking good because I ain't been getting high, So, and I'm still got my, I'm looking good. I'm looking good. And they thought it was over. They thought it was over, And so now you get a chance to pick where you want to go initially for your primary duty station. And so my thinking, I'm saying, okay, so the general person would pick to go somewhere career orientated or something of that nature there, to go to another level, or either to just make a geographical change permanent. But I said, this is where I want to go out of all the force. I want to go to California. I'm going to Cali. That's where I'm going. But I had nothing on my mind but getting high to get to California. I want to get to California where they got the tie stick at.
That's right. Go.
In my mind, the cocaine, Superfly, and
Okay.
the Mac. And so I wind up in California.
Looking for the
Wind up at Fort Ord, California, which is in Monterey, right outside Monterey, California. Right outside a little town called Seaside, California, that was the perfect town for me because everybody got high in the whole town. It's a little small town right outside the fort. You see, so you had a lot of lifestyle stuff going on in there because the soldiers are there. So you got a lot of lifestyle. The prostitutes are here, the drug addicts are there, the drug dealers are there. I'm talking about big time drug dealers. So now, just like I'm trying to meet back in the early stage, I'm always trying to get to the cartel. So I want to know who can kill me. That's what I'm really trying to find out. And so now, my buddies, they would go and cop and go get high, but I want to go meet the drug dealers. And so now I'm going to the little after hour joints and all this. So now I'm meeting all these boys that's real gangsters. And so they like me. They started liking me. Once again, Baby Love done showed up again. I'm just in another town now. Yeah, Baby Love done showed up again. Yeah, Baby Love done showed up again. And so I met a buddy of mine out of St. Louis, Missouri, East St. Louis, who was a gambler, and his name was Elgin Hayes. And I gave him, I renamed it because that was my buddy, because he wanted to get high. He was a gambler, and I was a drug addict, trying to be a drug dealer and a player. But he was a gambler, but he liked me too, so we were buddies, and so I gave him a new name, Doc Holliday. Doc Holliday. My man. Yeah, my man, Elgin Hayes. Gave his name Doc Holliday. And that was my man though. Yeah. And now I'm in California, supposed to be a soldier. But I'm riding around. I think it was a 70 6 or something, because this is in, remember this is in 1975. And so I had this big old Pontiac. And so now I'm wearing Godfather hats and 3-piece suits, but I'm supposed to have on fatigues. So the people in the town don't even know I'm in the army, pretty much. Because I stay in civilian clothes all the time, pretty much. So now I'm taking weed, and now I'm taking heroin, I found the dope boy. So now I'm buying dope payday time, so I'm gonna take the dope back on the post and sell it to everybody else. Everybody getting high. You know, this is in the 70s. Remember, this is in 1975, 1976, 1977. So people, you know, I'm in California. So they, see, like, we're here in the South, maybe the urban, and y'all on the East Coast, so y'all was getting high too on the East Coast too. Yeah, so don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted now. Yeah, but I'm in California, but in my era in the South, my general buddies were smoking weed. But remember, I'm already involved in narcotics. I started off using narcotics. At 15, I was already exposed to narcotics. Okay, so in California, now I'm exposed to cocaine. So now, I'm way up there, Supermax. I'm still at Supermax now. But I got so many drugs, until I'm just getting high, I'm not even conscious to it. And I thank God every day. And so eventually it catch up with me because, and I tell you what, and I'm going to put closure on this part, and I want to just summarize, but I want to go to another level. I want to take you to the peak point, what really, really turned me. Because I remember because I went back home, because pretty much they put me out the army. They just blessed me and gave me an honorable discharge. But they actually put me out. Yeah, actually put me out. And there was a time that I had like a half a pound of weed in a locker in the barracks. And there was an OD. The officer of the day came by that night because we was up there in the barracks smoking weed. And I got a pound. And threw the joint out the window, and for whatever reason, OD didn't look in the locker. You see, and so by this time now, I'm dealing with some real federal crimes if I get caught, because I'm selling heroin, to my peers. Everybody getting high anyway, so just make me just the bad guy. You see, somebody look at this and say, send it to the CIA and say, no. Look, I probably help more folks since I've been on the other side than whatever happened on the pre-side. Yeah, so maybe I'm talking to the CIA and don't know it. I don't know. So.
Your little disclaimer there, disclaimer.
Yeah, that's a disclaimer, right? I like that. Yeah. But I want to tell this story though, because it's amazing, because it's from addiction to recovery. But this is insanity of addiction though. Yeah. This is the insanity of addiction. All the things I've talked about earlier in the pre-stage of this talk. And so now. And notice I'm naming a few names, because remember how long this has been. But notice this is vivid in my mind. You don't see me with no script or nothing of that nature, because it's ordained in me. There are certain people who I know God put in my life earlier, even to shape my career, even afterwards, but even beforehand. And I had I would come in. I had got so well. I was negligent, because by this time Doc get out the army. He didn't got out. So now I'm really Supermax, because now I want to get out and be a full-time player. Remember, now I'm a part-time player and a part-time soldier.
Right.
So when Doc get out, I really want to be full-time now. But I hang in there until they put me out, right? And I had my sergeant. Never forget it. When I was coming, I had begun to. It was so funny because I was like an F troop in the end. Y'all remember F troop, right? Them the city soldiers. Y'all know about F troop?
No. I had heard that term before.
Oh my goodness, F troop was the movie. It was a movie, came on TV. F troop was a bunch of silly guys in the army. You know, F troop was a movie. Oh, I'm talking to y'all. Dawes, you don't know F troop? Oh, okay. Well, that's okay. Well, F troop was, in other words, I was the soldier who was comical. Pretty much. Yeah. So, in other words, so this is what began. Remember that now we have what's called formation. Formation is like 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, right? So in front of the barracks, all the soldiers would line up before you get ready to go to work to your duty station, because that's why when you get into a active stationed and get into your job wherever you at when you're stationed, but you still have formation, roll calls, and all that type of stuff. It's almost like you go to the job and punch in, right? So I would get so now where I would come in and they're in formation at 7:30, right? So I would come in, here I am with my Godfather hat on and my three-piece suit, and I would come in, they already in formation, everybody got their fatigues on, so I got to pass by the formation to go in to change clothes to come back to formation. But I'm already late, and it's already insanity, so 2-3 times you get away with it. And so now I got so where when I did come back to the barracks, because most of the time I didn't even stay on the barracks. When I did come back, I wouldn't even get out of bed. And so my sergeant, I'll never forget this guy. His name was Kirkland. And he blessed me. But I'll never forget one time he came in there, because he treated me like a son. He came in there and threw me out. I was on top bunk, threw me out the bed. Soldier, you say, soldier, what's wrong with you, soldier? But he when he saw I was in trouble, he helped me to get honorable discharge, pretty much. He helped me and got me out of the military successfully. And so now you would have think that naturalism or normalism would set in somewhere and say, baby, go home. Now you go home. You got your paycheck, you got your ticket, go home. But no. I'm going to Seaside. And now all of a sudden, one of my buddies' girlfriend is moving from Seaside to LA, and she got a house and gonna let me take the house over. All right. No, not all right, all wrong. Yeah, that's right. And so that's all I need. Right. And so my mama don't even know I'm out the army. And so I stayed there for 9 months, and I can't even go into, that's a whole nother story of all the things that happened, all the traumatization things I saw and was involved in for another year, living out in California. And so when I get home, I finally make it home in nearly 1978. And so I'm back in Birmingham in 1978, but guess who with me? The addiction. The insanity of addiction is with me. And so now I know more things now. And so now I want to know the first thing I'm looking for versus a job, I want to find out where the crook's at. Where the drugs, where the crook's at. But let me talk about this level. I want to talk about the process, the post-process, but let me talk about what happened with the insanity of addiction that steered me. Because from 1978 to early 80s, I'm living large because I got plenty of drugs, I got plenty of money. I know everybody who got drugs. I'm selling drugs. I'm just all over the place, So, and then I began to bring cocaine dealers in, and so now I got a lot of cocaine. And so I remember before crack became crack. You see, so I remember the era when we were snorting cocaine, and I remember when crack became popular, then we started selling crack. And so what happened was this, and that's why the insanity of the last 4 years, remember I can pinpoint my whole addiction, you see. And so for 16 years, because I was primarily a narcotic user, I functioned pretty much for 16 years. In around 1987, probably late 86, 87, I started to smoking crack. And so when I started smoking crack, and remember I didn't smoke crack like the average crack smoker. Let me explain something to you. Because what I did is this, because remember, I understand the word stigma. So it was a stigma, like I talked earlier about the antennas and the little short pipes and the beer cans and all these type things here, because I went all those places. But I smoked weed, and they call them woodies now. I think something like that. But we call it something else. Actually, we call it primo. We call it a primo. So where the average crack smoker would take $10, which is a rock, a dime rock, and put it on a pipe, I would take 5 rocks, crush them up, and lace a joint of weed. So you know I'm super duper max, right? Right. I'm super max, right? But I had the drugs like that. So I'm functioning. But however, just like it caught up with everybody else, it caught up with me. And so this is what happened. What happened in the last year of my addiction, when I knew that I was in trouble, when I knew that insanity had crept in and had stayed there. Insanity would come and make visits. In the beginning stage, it made cameo visits and just went on by this business, showed up sometimes, said, hey, how you doing? And kept going, and then eventually insanity became closer to me, so it stayed for a day. And then insanity would also come back and stay 3 days sometimes. And I remember insanity staying a week because I would be off the chain. And so now insanity have actually came and have latched to me because now I'm full-fledged with crack. And so now when I started getting high and started to fool around with that crack, I didn't even want no more money. And remember, I'm a hustler. I don't even want no more money. Yeah. And remember, you talking about a guy that was dressing when I was 8 years. I was a kid in dressing. I mean, I always wore clothes and dressed and etc. But I don't want no more money. I don't want no clothes. I don't want nothing. All I want is some crack. I just want to get high off crack. This is the last few years before I finally went to prison. But let me tell you what happened in the end. What in the end was this: is that there was a buddy of mine that I grew up with. His name is Tim Glover. And so Tim, Mama and my mama, I'm talking about as kids, we grew up in Loveland Village Housing Project. And so, I'm looking back at his mama, Miss Jessie Glover, my mama, and we stayed across the street from each other. So I remember we ain't getting high, we talking about we kids. So, but now, as we were grown, when we moved to another neighborhood in the last years of my addiction, is that Tim also stayed, they moved over that way in the area that we live in, the West End area. So now Tim is selling crack, but he's getting high too, And so this is what happened. What happened was, and I never forget this because I always said it was a turning point type because I still wound up going to prison eventually in 1989. And only doing a short stint of prison. But I committed over 6,000 felonies in my 20 years because I committed felonies on a daily basis. See, I was a criminal. And I broke the law every day for 20 years. And most of the time, multiple times throughout the day, you see, involved in C and B felonies. So Tim had a little crack sack, and so this particular day, I saw Tim earlier and went and bought some drugs from Tim. And so by nightfall, all the money gone. That's the story. That's the story of insanity. All the money gone. And so it's about 2:30 in the morning, maybe 2:45. And so I'm knocking on Tim's door. And Tim comes, I had just left about 12, right? And so I'm back now. That's the insanity of crack. The repetitions of crack and just addiction period. So I'm knocking on Tim's door. And so Tim come to the door about 2:30, 2:45 in the morning. And Tim said, what you want, man? I said, man, look, give me something for this, man. And when I reached in a bag, and what I had in the bag was a frozen chicken.
Okay.
You call me Pookie?
Okay.
A frozen chicken.
Okay.
And so Tim, my buddy, man.
Right.
So Tim feel bad for me about now, y'all.
I'm dying over here.
I got a frozen chicken, man. And so look, so now Tim is like, man, come on, man. And I'm like, Tim. And so now I begin to describe the chicken.
Yes.
I'm trying to sell the chicken so I can say, Tim, give me at least a dime. Give me one rock. I said, look, I pulled the chicken out. And I said, look at the legs on the chicken, man. Look how big the thighs are, man.
Oh my God.
Look, I'm standing on Tim's porch at 3 o'clock in the morning with a frozen chicken trying to buy some crack. And I'm describing, I'm a poultry expert now. I said, Tim, look how it's made. Look at the drumsticks on it. I mean, it even have an extra leg on it. Look at this, Tim.
Yeah.
This is the insanity of addiction. A frozen chicken. A frozen chicken. But watch this though. So look, so now this is just part one of the story. So Tim feel bad for me and give me a dime rock. And so naturally I say, okay, Tim, thank you, man. My man, right? Wait a minute. So here it is. 3:30 or 3:40, I'm knocking back on Tim door.
Yes.
And Tim look out the door, and cause it's me, he comes through the door. Now, I got a Cornish hen and another chicken.
Where are you stealing these chickens from?
Right, that's what I want to know. You're talking about it.
Your mama gonna kill you.
Okay.
His mama gonna kill him.
Listen,
Right.
look, man, this is insanity of addiction, man.
Yes, it is.
And the next day, my mama woke up and looked in there and said, where in the world is all my chicken? The woman had just went to the grocery store.
That's right.
So, you know, I said, Mom, you know you cooked them chickens.
Gator. That's Gator.
You know you cooked that Cornish hen the other day.
Yes.
And so my poor mama, she ain't paying no attention. She ain't thinking she don't know I done got to the point where I'm stealing chickens now.
Right.
Out the freezer. A frozen chicken, man.
That's right.
That's the insanity of addiction, man.
Shall we?
At 3:45 in the morning, I'm trying to trade chicken for crack. Yeah. And so from the chicken syndrome, from the frozen chicken, that was amazing to me though, you know, and that sparked me, but it didn't stop me though. Right. And so eventually I went to prison. And this is the peak point. This is the peak of the post-peak point. Because remember this, I'm taking chances on my life all the time. And so here comes the part of the story where we get to the post part. In 1984 when I first caught what we call my first felony case. And I was at the drugstore, and because now I met I'm always going to Supermax. So now I want to know who the prescription writers now. So now I got hooked up with the folk who write prescriptions now. So now I'm writing my own prescription. So now, where y'all sleeping at night, I'm sitting up practicing trying to figure out how to write this doctor's name for 3 hours. You see. So now I'm going into the hospitals and I'm stealing prescription pads and I'm writing prescriptions. I've learned about the DEA numbers and all this, writing prescription pads. So remember, did this for a long time before they came up with electronic stuff. You see? Yeah. And so the name of the game would be, when you go in the drugstore, you know, had to learn how the whole thing go. Go in the drugstore, and first of all, you target small community drugstores who need money. They ain't no Walmart. They ain't selling no whole lot of drugs and prescriptions. So you target them, and once the pharmacist go to and hit the first peck on the typewriter, jackpot, because he's getting ready to fill it. Right. But if he goes to the phone, you break count. Okay. So that was like the rule of thumb with the prescription writer. See, it's a whole nother era now. Yeah, whole nother era. So I wound up at Walmart, where I shouldn't have went, with another buddy of mine who had already made the store hot. The store hot. He'd have set me up. So I go in Walmart with this script in a hot store, and so They tricked me. They set me up because I'm high. So remember the rule of thumb, you don't go to work high, because we call it going to work. That's insanity. That's why I need cognitive behavior therapy, and I need some moral reasoning too. But I definitely needed cognitive behavior therapy. I needed a mind alteration, because you don't go to work high, but we start calling this work. Where you going to work, regular people going to work, I'm out all day trying to steal something, scheme something, con somebody, and would spend 8 hours doing it. That's what it took. So now here I am. So Walmart tricked me, set me up because I'm high. I'm high. So my cognition, I can't see like I can normally see. And so when I look around, here's the sheriff. Right? But this is insanity of addiction. I sit there and argue with them folks about that prescription. Like the doctor had really wrote the prescription. The man is handcuffing me, taking me out of the store. And I'm saying, okay, well look, can I get my prescription filled up? That's the insanity of addiction.
Yes.
That's the insanity of addiction. Yeah, I didn't feel. And this was closure. Closure was here. Closure was Center Point Parkway. I'm still dealing with prescriptions. And I'm all day filling prescriptions. I'm going to store. Hello. 74 Delta 88. Bergen and Graham. And I go in Tomlin Pharmacy. And this guy, Mickey Tomlin. Mickey Tomlin looked at the prescription, he knew it was bogus, and said, look, you need to wait till the police get here, sir. And I said, okay. See, this is insanity of drugs. Drugs always got some foolishness to come back to.
Yeah.
I said, okay, sir, hold it. Hold it. Let me go out in my car and get my ID and show you who I really am. Now, what that meant, don't ask me. I had to come up with something to get out of that store. And as I began to proceed out of Mickey Tomlin's store, Mickey Tomlin went behind his counter and pulled out a .357 Magnum, nickel-plated with a 4-inch barrel on it, and said, sir, do not leave out that door.
Okay.
And I proceeded to say, with this sign of drug, sir, you don't know who I am. Let me go out here and get my ID and show you who I am. So I began to stage backwards, moonwalk, Michael Jackson, whatever you want to call it, ease out of Mickey Tomlin's store to get in my car, and he had a parking lot probably about the size, a little smaller than this parking lot that you see out here, which you see is a small parking lot. And so I get in my car, so now I'm running now. Now I got the football in my hand now. By this time, when I get out the door, now I'm running. Got my keys, trying to get in the car, make a getaway. TV stuff. This is crazy. And Sunday, Mickey Tomlin got a .357 Magnum, right? I'm gonna shoot, that's what he keeps saying. And so I'm saying to myself, he ain't gonna shoot. Yeah, I'm gonna shoot. I get in the car, and I do a 180-degree turn, and I get out of Mickey Tomlin's parking lot. Center Point Road is like Georgia Avenue or something, like New York Avenue. So I'm doing 95, going down there, and all of a sudden I hear bam, bam. And when I heard it, I turned the car, and the bullet went in the car and came out of the car. But what I said then, I said, that fool shot at me.
Yeah.
And I went home. Mickey Tomlin got my tag number. My mama worked at City Hall. Everybody know my mama. The police waiting on me. And so the police came in, and the sheriff was nice as they can be, and said, son, look, it's like this. I never forget this. He said, this like a football game. He said, it's 3rd and inches, and we got Earl Campbell. He was getting ready to hit the ball. Now, I don't know John know about Earl Campbell play, but he was a big boy. He said, look, man, you done lost, man. Come on, man. Come on, before we shoot you for real now. Come on. That started the spiral, and I went to prison. But to summarize this in 2 minutes, I want to say this. This is the post part of this story, and I'm going to tell part 2 later on, some more things. The first job I had, to show you the miracle of God, Bradford Health Services. 2-3 years into that job as a counselor aide, all of a sudden, I look up And there is, you wouldn't believe it, I'm a counselor now, and Mickey Tomlin is there as the pharmacist providing the drugs for the facility. And so Mickey Tomlin, I meet Mickey Tomlin on the flip side of it, and he remembered who I was, and he said, man, look, I'm sorry for almost killing you, number one. Number two, I'm different now because some of my pharmacists got hooked on drugs, so now I'm an advocate for people in addiction.
Okay.
And that's why I'm working in this facility right here. So we shook, hugged, and all that. And so, but isn't that amazing? No, Mickey Tomlin. I run back into Mickey Tomlin all them years later. Yeah, way in 1993, working at the facility. And now Mickey Tomlin is an advocate.
Right.
And I said, Mickey Tomlin, you know, just on the sidebar, you know you almost killed me. I had to get a laugh in there, you know. Yeah. But thank God for the recovery process. Over 23 years, I've been on this side, clean, saved, healed, delivered, and working as a private practitioner, work as a therapist, work as a counselor, and this is what I do. So it took all that for that, you see. And so I just want to tell that little snippet of it. I want to thank y'all for being here with me, and just I want to share it with y'all just to show y'all how that's from addiction to recovery. And we talked about the insanity of addiction, but we also talked about, in the end, recovery won, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Come on, y'all. Yeah.